Hello, good evening, and welcome to your session today. Hi, how are you? Hello, hi, Soumya. Let's see who else is here. Hardik, Richa. Okay, are we all here with me? Or are we having our own conversations? लगता है कुछ हो गया. चलो अब everybody focus on the session now. This is a very highly requested grammar topic that a lot of you have issues with. You have a lot of doubts regarding this. So today we are going to clear all of those doubts. So come here. Pay attention to me now. Stop your fights. Hi. अरे cute सा बच्चा. Hello. Hi Umaid. Hi Tanish. Swasti. I'm really good, Soumya. Thank you so much. Hi Vaishnavi. Okay, Fakar, Asiya, Hardik, yes, all right. So before we get started, you see so many things on your screen. All of these things are made just for you. These are all the different kind of sessions that we have to help you do better in your exams and in general in life at school. So make sure you like, subscribe and press the bell icon. Those of you who watch the videos but still haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. And we have the 1,000 previous year question sessions coming up for you. And if you want to stay updated and you want to receive the notifications for all of this, you have to press the bell icon. And how do we know if you're liking the sessions or not? We know only when you press the like button. So everybody like, subscribe and press the bell icon. We have achieved so many goals together. A lot of our students who are subscribed to the 9th and 10th channel have moved on to 11th and have done phenomenally well in their boards. So we want to help you in your journey. And so for that, stay subscribed and like all the sessions. Press the bell icon. All right? Enough of that, enough reminders. Now let's move on. All right, so welcome to your active and passive voice session. A lot of you get confused. I think reported speech and active and passive voice are the two things that everybody is afraid of. But don't worry, they're both very, very easy. And we're going to go through active and passive voice together today. But to understand active and passive voice, the first thing you need to be very clear about is what is a subject in a sentence, because this is what leads to all the confusion in active and passive voice. Okay, so first things first. You know a sentence contains two parts. You've known this since you were in perhaps third standard. Subject hota hai, predicate hota hai, right? Do we all know this? Give me a thumbs up. Even if you didn't know, it's okay. Now you know. Hai na? So, a subject and a predicate. So the subject indicates a person or the thing that is the focus of the sentence. So when we are saying something, the sentence needs to be about something. है ना? तो उसको हम subject बोलते हैं. वैसे भी subject किन किन चीज़ों में यूज़ होता है. English subject, maths की क्लास में आप maths पढ़ोगे तो maths subject है. Similarly, the sentence is about something, and that something which is in focus is the subject, right? And the predicate tells us something more about a subject, and it contains a verb, right? Because to make a sentence, you need a subject and a verb. है ना? And a predicate can have a lot more going on. It can have many other things, but it will always definitely have a verb. Alright, so we have a subject and a predicate. Now we have an example here, very simple example. Neha plays tennis every morning. Here, the focus of the sentence is Neha and what Neha does. Right? We're talking about Neha and some activity that Neha is involved in. So the focus is Neha. Neha is the subject. The predicate has the verb plays. Verb is the action word in a sentence. Okay? So plays tells us what Neha is doing. And now, हम जब छोटी क्लास को सिखाते हैं when you were maybe in 6th, 5th, 6th, 4th, 5th, 6th, तब verb को हम action word बोलते थे, because हम सिखाते थे कि कोई भी आप action कर रहे हो वो verb है. But sometimes a verb is not an explicit action, and you are aware of this. I know you know this, right? Especially to be forms, there are verbs that are like is, am, are, was. These are not actions per se. These are not things that you're doing, but they're still verbs. Right? So even though we call verbs the action words in a sentence, they're not always actions, but there's something that tell us more about what the noun is doing or what the noun is like, right? Okay. Yes, what are your questions? What doubts? And so, apart from the verb, we could have ended the sentence over here. The sentence could have ended at Neha plays, full stop. Subject hai, verb hai, sentence khatam. But we want to give more information. So in this sentence, the predicate has more information, which is Neha plays what? Neha plays tennis. Neha plays tennis when? Neha plays tennis every morning. So you see, we could have ended the sentence over here, we could have ended it over here, but we're ending it over here. We can make the sentence longer also. The predicate can become longer. Neha plays tennis every morning with her father. Okay? So that will make the sentence and the predicate longer. But you know the basic things required to make a sentence, and you know how to see. In sentences like this, it's very easy to spot the subject. In more complicated sentences, it gets harder to spot the subject. But as you get more familiar with the language, you will be able to do that as well. Okay? Just remember that the subject is the focus of the sentence. Now here, my friends, comes a very common confusion that apart from subject and a predicate, we also have something called a doer in a sentence. Now, can anyone tell me who is the doer in a sentence? Or we'll take this sentence only as an example, and let's talk about who the doer is in this sentence. Can someone tell me? Okay, now Aroma has said subject, but Chris is saying Neha. Other people are also saying subject, but some people are saying Neha. But yeah, here is where the problem arises. Okay, you don't say that the subject is the doer. In this case, yes, we can agree Neha is the subject and Neha is the doer. What is she doing? She's playing. So plays the verb. Whoever is doing the verb is the doer of the action. But that doesn't always happen, that the subject is the doer of the verb. Okay? Sometimes there can be a subject that is being acted upon by the verb. Ulta bhi ho sakta hai. The subject is not always doing. Okay? Sometimes the verb is acting upon the subject. So in this case, please get out of the habit of saying that the subject is the doer and the object is the receiver. Okay? Because sometimes the subject can also be the receiver of a certain kind of action. Alright? So in this case, we won't say that the subject is the doer. We will say Neha is the doer. And this doer and receiver game comes into play in active and passive voice. It's all about the doer and the receiver. It's not about the subject and the object, because if we go with that definition, we will get very, very confused. Okay, so let's understand. With this knowledge, we will now go and understand active and passive voice better. Okay. Alright, now active voice. In active voice, the doer is placed in the subject position, followed by the verb and the receiver. Okay, so in this case, we will place the doer in the subject position. So whenever you have an active voice sentence, it will be correct for you to say that the subject is the doer. Okay? Only in an active voice sentence, you can say that the subject is the doer. Let's look at the sentence, Vinod cleaned the room. Here, Vinod, the doer of the action cleaned, is the subject of this sentence, because the focus is, what is the focus of the sentence? What did Vinod do? Vinod cleaned the room, something that most of you don't do, right? कौन कौन करता है अपना रूम साफ जब तक मम्मी नहीं डांटती? बहुत कम लोग होंगे. So you are not the subjects in this sentence. We are talking about Vinod, the doer, who is doing what? Who is cleaning? Cleaning what? The room. So the room is the receiver of the action. ठीक है? साफ किसने किया? विनोद ने किया. साफ क्या हुआ? रूम हुआ. So Vinod, doer, room, receiver of the action. Okay? All right. And the receiver of the action in this case is the object of the sentence. Okay? All right. Any doubts regarding this? Where everyone is really distracted, having their own conversations only. Yes, okay, so I'm going to... No doubts. Okay, thanks, Avishka, Soumya. The session is for both 9th and 10th. You both need to know active and passive voice, so you can both attend the session. Yes, all right. Okay, so now, what is the one thing we have learned about active voice? The doer is the focus of the sentence. Okay? The doer is the focus of the sentence. And what do we know about focus? We know that the focus of the sentence is always the subject of the sentence. So in active voice, doer is the focus of the sentence and the focus of the sentence is always the subject of the sentence. Now let's go to passive voice and apply the same logic. Okay, this is just logic that you're applying. Okay. So in the passive voice, the receiver is placed in the subject position followed by the verb and the doer. So now who is in focus in passive voice? Who is in focus in passive voice? Can anyone answer this question for me? Let's see. Who gives me the answer first? No, SK. No. Yes, Soumya. Kankana, very good. Don't say that the object is in focus. You will say that the receiver is in focus. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? That the doer is not... I told you not to equate subject and object with doer and receiver, and I told you that for a reason, right? So, we won't say that the object is in focus. We will say that the receiver is in focus because now the receiver will become the subject of the sentence. Okay? Receiver will become the subject of the sentence. If you say that the object is in focus, object is not the subject of the obviously object is not the subject of the sentence, right? The subject is the subject of the sentence. तो इसमें हम लोग क्या फोकस में डाल रहे हैं? रिसीवर को फोकस में डाल रहे हैं, ठीक है? और रिसीवर फिर सब्जेक्ट बन जाएगा, ऑब्जेक्ट नहीं रहेगा. ओके? एंड द रीजन व्हाई दिस इज हैपनिंग कि हम लोग डूअर और रिसीवर, सब्जेक्ट एंड ऑब्जेक्ट सब कुछ किसके बेसिस पे बोलते हैं? हम वर्ब के बेसिस पे बोलते हैं. ओके? We always talk about a doer and a receiver based on the verb. Okay? And if you notice that from active to passive voice, the verb always changes. I want you to pay attention. This is the sentence, Vinod cleaned the room. Quickly tell me what is the verb in this sentence. Type it in the chat. What is the verb in the sentence, Vinod cleaned the room? Yes, Soumya, very good. Avishka, very good. Saurabh, amazing. Pramila, yes. Cleaned. Pragati, Ananya, Shraddha, perfect. Cleaned is the verb. Now let's go to passive voice. The room was cleaned by Vinod. What is the verb in this sentence? What is the verb in the passive voice sentence? Yes, Chris. Yes, Vaishnavi. Yes, Tilotama. Yes, no. Mistakes are being made. Was cleaned. Yes. Yes, Pramila. Shraddha, Aryan. Very good. The verb in passive voice is was cleaned. It's not just cleaned. It's was cleaned. Was, the helping verb was added. So the entire verb is was cleaned. Okay? Alright, so you know now that from active voice to passive voice, the verb is changing. It changed from cleaned to was cleaned. So if the verb is changing, the subject and object will also change based on the verb. So in active voice, the focus of the sentence is Vinod. Think about it this way. Vinod cleaned the room. किस question का answer होगा? किस question का answer होगा? Vinod cleaned the room. अगर मुझे इस आंसर का क्वेश्चन बनाना है तो मैं क्या क्वेश्चन बनाऊंगी? Who cleaned the room? है ना? If I want to ask a question for which I will get this answer, I will say who cleaned the room, and the response I will get is Vinod cleaned the room. So who की जगह विनोद पता चल रहा है. So the point of asking the question is to find out who cleaned the room. Vinod cleaned the room. Vinod is in focus. Vinod is the subject. Vinod is the doer. अब हम जाएंगे passive voice में. I need a question for this answer. The room was cleaned by Vinod. Now see, here you are asking me a question in passive voice. That is fine. The room was cleaned by whom? But again here, the room is the first thing that you are talking about. Okay? Now if I stop referring to the room, I'll just say, okay, someone cleaned the room. I can say who cleaned it. Okay? Who cleaned it? Then I can say Vinod cleaned it. Okay, now you see why it's in focus. Now in passive voice, the room was cleaned by Vinod. Okay, now I can take off by Vinod from the sentence also. If I remove this, the room was cleaned by Vinod. So I can ask the question, what was cleaned? Or what was cleaned by Vinod? Okay. Again, you're still focusing on getting Vinod as the answer. The most straightforward way of getting Vinod as the answer is who cleaned the room. मैं घुमा फिरा के क्यों पूछूं जब मैं पूछ सकती हूँ who cleaned the room. Instead of asking the room was cleaned by whom, इतना complicated question, I can just say who cleaned the room. Vinod cleaned the room. Straightforward. Okay. But if I want to get the room as the answer, then I'll say what was cleaned by Vinod. What did Vinod clean? The room. Okay, the room was cleaned by Vinod. So right now the focus of this sentence is the room. Okay? Yes. What was cleaned by Vinod? The room was cleaned by Vinod. इसमें अगर हम by Vinod भी हटा दें and we just end it over here, what was cleaned? The room was cleaned. Okay? So we don't care who cleaned it. We don't care that Vinod cleaned it. We are concentrating on what was cleaned. Okay? So now you know why you use active voice or passive voice, to put different things in focus. So in active voice we put Vinod in focus because Vinod ने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है room साफ करके. And in passive voice we put the room in focus because it was important for the room to get cleaned. Okay? And we can see that here the verb was cleaned, here the verb is was cleaned. So the verb changes. And here the subject was the doer of the action. Here the subject is the receiver of the action. Okay? So the subject in passive voice is the receiver of the action. The subject in active voice is the doer of the action. Ye rat lo. You will not say the object comes first in passive voice. No, that's incorrect. Because the room is the subject here. The room was the object in active voice. The room becomes the subject in passive voice. So does the object become the subject in passive voice? Yes. Does the receiver become the subject in passive voice? Yes. But does the structure of the sentence change? Do we go from subject, verb, object to object, verb, subject? Is this correct? Can someone tell me if this is correct definition of passive voice? No. Very good, Soumya. So please tell me if object, verb, subject is the correct structure of a passive voice sentence. No, 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 no. Pinto, doer is anybody who is doing the verb. इसमें verb क्या था? Cleaned. किसने सफाई की? विनोद ने सफाई की, तो doer विनोद हो गया, है ना? All right. So, no. Both active and passive voice sentence structure will be subject, verb, object only. Okay? It will be subject, verb, object only. It's just that doer, verb, receiver becomes receiver, verb, doer in passive voice. Okay? So, doer, you will remember this thing. If this is active voice, this is passive voice, then subject, verb, object remains the same, subject, verb, object. But doer, verb, receiver becomes receiver, verb, doer. Okay? अगर equation रट के आपको easily memorize हो जाएगा, then remember this. Subject, verb, object, active voice, passive voice, same. But doer, verb, receiver and receiver, verb, doer. Okay? So the receiver becomes the subject. So if I ever say that subject is equal to doer and object is equal to receiver, then I will get all my active and passive voice questions wrong. Okay? So we need to work with this basic understanding. Now with this basic understanding, we can answer any active passive voice questions. Okay? So let's see. And now another one important thing before we move on to answering some questions is to remember that whenever you have a passive voice sentence, the verb will look a certain way, okay? The verb will look a certain way. It will have a be verb plus the past participle form of the verb. Now इसमें okay, happy birthday Ramesh, wishing you a very happy birthday. ठीक है. So be verb and past participle. Now can someone tell me, give me examples of be verb forms? हाँ, ये past participle होता है V3. Some of you might know this as V3. Be verb forms के examples मुझे कौन दे सकता है? सब रमेश को पहले हैप्पी बर्थडे बोलो, फिर मेरा आंसर देना. Yes. Prasansha gave me is. Prasansha also gave me am. Very good. Govind gave me are, were, was. Perfect. तो ये सारे हैं be verbs. Okay, depending upon subject verb concord पता है ना आपको. Depending upon the tense and the subject of the sentence, we will choose which be verb to use. And what are the past participle? The V3 forms. Okay. For example, eat का simple past ate हो गया, and V3 form past participle क्या होगा? Can someone tell me? What is the V3 form or the past participle form of eat? Yes, Kushal, perfect. Eaten. Okay, so sometimes the simple past form and the past participle form of the verbs are the same, but sometimes they are different. So you will always use what? You will use the past participle. So every time in a passive voice sentence, what will the verb look like? The verb will have a be verb plus the past participle form of the verb in active voice. Okay, in this case, we had the past form of clean, cleaned, and cleaned. Clean ka simple past and past participle are both cleaned, so it remains the same. Okay, but it can change, so be careful, don't make this mistake. We will use the past participle. Alright, let's see if you've understood this. Please identify the sentence in passive voice quickly. Is it A or is it B? Baapre, so many conversations all of you are having. Nobody wants to answer the question. Govind has given me Z as the answer. Others have given A. Very good. Thank you so much. A is your answer. This short film was directed by Karan. Now can someone quickly tell me this short film? What is this? Is this the subject or the object? Please tell me if this short film is the subject or the object. Wrong answer. Yes, Prasansha, very good. No, Harish, wrong answer. Vikram, wrong answer. Cute sa bacha, wrong answer. Govind is saying receiver, which is correct. But the question I asked you was subject hai ki object hai? It's the subject. Okay? And is it the doer or the receiver? Yes, Avishka, perfect. Nidhi, any class student can attend this. If you are interested to know about active and passive voice, you can attend this. Yes, it's the receiver. Perfect. Okay, so again, I am giving you the same equations. Please remember them. Active voice, passive voice. Subject, verb, object, subject, verb, object. It'll always be subject, verb, object. It will never be object, verb, subject. Okay, that is wrong. But it'll be doer, verb, receiver and receiver, verb, doer. So passive voice, subject is the receiver, active voice, subject is the doer. Active voice, object is the receiver, passive voice, object is the doer. Okay, so now tell me, what is Karan? Karan is subject or object and Karan is doer or receiver. Quickly tell me. Okay, yes. Ananya said doer, absolutely correct. Subject or object? Object, very good. Now you got it. So, जिसके भी दिमाग में बैठा है कि सब्जेक्ट हमेशा डूअर होता है, ऑब्जेक्ट हमेशा रिसीवर होता है, प्लीज इसको अपने दिमाग से निकाल दो, वरना एक्टिव और पैसिव वॉइस में हमेशा आपको कंफ्यूजन होगा. ठीक है? वेरी गुड, ग्रेट जॉब. नाउ let's understand when we use active voice or when we use passive voice. So we know active voice is more direct. It's always more direct. And passive voice थोड़ा घुमा फिरा के बोला जाता है ना? You've noticed this कि but a lot of times passive voice बहुत naturally आता है और हम realize नहीं करते. So when we use passive voice is when the doer of an action is unknown or irrelevant. Irrelevant मतलब not relevant matlab that we don't care about the doer. Okay, that piece of information is not important for us. Okay, but and sometimes it could be unknown also. We don't know who the doer is. So here now we have an example. ठीक है, there was a project. Project complete होना important था. बॉस के लिए प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट होना इंपॉर्टेंट है. बॉस को नहीं फर्क पड़ता किसने कंप्लीट किया. ठीक है, या टीचर के लिए प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट होना जरूरी है. टीचर को नहीं फर्क पड़ता किसने कंप्लीट किया है. तो बॉस या टीचर आके क्या पूछेंगे, प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट हुआ कि नहीं और प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट कब हुआ. ओके, और उसका आंसर आप ये तो नहीं दोगे कि नहीं मैम ज्योति कंप्लीटेड द प्रोजेक्ट, or you won't say Smiley completed the project, Priyanshu completed the project. If I ask you when was the project completed, will you tell me Bhumika completed the project? Or will you say Asmita completed the project? No, right? Because it's not important who completed it. It's important whether or not it was completed. ठीक है? A lot of times in companies, bosses don't even know who's working on what. They just care if the work is being completed or not, because the client or somebody else needs that file, right? So if I ask you, was the project completed, you will not say yes, Richa completed the project. Then you will get fired from your job if you give such answers in the future. So you will say the project was completed yesterday. So here we don't care who completed this, who the doer of this action is. Okay, we don't care who the doer of this action is, so we don't mention the doer only. ठीक है, we mention the receiver. What was completed? The project was completed. Project is the receiver of the completion. ठीक है, so we only mention the receiver. The receiver becomes our subject. The verb is was completed, which is a passive form. Okay, passive verb, and then we just say yesterday. इसके बिना भी sentence बना सकते हो. Was the project completed? Yes, the project was completed. Okay, समझ में आया? If you give me a thumbs up if it's all clear. So we use passive voice when we don't know the doer, we don't care about the doer, or the doer is not relevant. All right. And a lot of times in the news, you will hear passive voice. Because sometimes it's not important who did what, it's important what happened. Okay? So आप सोचो कि किसी म्यूजियम में बहुत कोई इम्पोर्टेंट चीज पड़ी हुई है, मे बी you know the Kohinoor diamond, and it gets stolen. So when you're reporting it in the news, you don't know who stole it. The thief stole the Kohinoor diamonds. That doesn't make sense. You're not giving any important information. Nobody knows who the thief is. Until you know the name of the thief, it's not necessary. It's understood कि किसी चोर नहीं चुराया होगा, right? So you will say the Kohinoor was stolen from the museum. So in situations like this, you will use passive voice. Okay? Now, here you have a question. 200 individuals were hired. This is the basic crux of the information. What are 200 individuals in this sentence? This is the information that we want to give. 200 individuals were hired. What are the 200 individuals? Are they the doer or the receiver? बीच में गलत answers. Think about it carefully. Think about it carefully. And what will help you get to the answer is analyzing the verb. Is this a passive verb? Were is the form of be? Yes. And hired is the past participle form of the verb? Yes. That means this is a passive verb. That means 200 individuals become the receiver. Okay? We are not saying hire किसने किया, कौन hire हुआ. ट्रांसलेट कर लो अगर कंफ्यूजन हो रहा है तो. डूअर और रिसीवर में कंफ्यूजन हो रहा है तो ट्रांसलेट कर लो इन whatever your mother tongue is. You can translate this and try to find out who the doer or the receiver is. Okay? Who hired 200 individuals? That person is the doer. We don't care who hired. We are saying 200 individuals were hired. 200 individuals are the receiver of the action of hiring. Okay? Kushal, I just explained. There are two ways for you to get to this answer. One is by simple logic. Okay? The action here is hiring. Hiring is the action. Okay? One person will hire and one person will get hired. एक नौकरी देगा, एक को मिलेगी. जिसको मिलेगी वो रिसीवर है, जो देगा वो डूअर है, right? So here we are talking about 200 individuals were hired. मतलब 200 individuals को नौकरी मिली. So मिली का मतलब क्या है? That they are the receivers. ठीक है? Very good. All right. All clear? And another way, if you cannot apply this logic, if you're getting confused, another way is look at the verb. Here there are two words in the verb, one helping verb, one main verb. The helping verb is a be form. This is your checklist in your brain. It's the be form of the verb. है ना? Okay. Hired is a past participle of hire. Yes. ठीक है, मतलब passive verb है. Passive voice sentences में ऐसे verbs use होते हैं ना? So, either apply logic or analyze the verb. Both things will take you to the correct answer. Okay. Now here is a quiz for you very quickly. What you're going to do is you're going to identify the sentences in active voice. All right? Get ready. Everyone ready? Jaldi jaldi answers देंगे. All right. Here we go. Viola cycling to the beach. इस piece of information को active voice में डालना है. You need to tell me which sentence is in active voice. Okay, Govind says B, Avishka says B, Kushal says A, Richa says A. You need to tell me the sentence in active voice. Okay? Okay, let's quickly remember what active voice is. Active voice में who is in focus? The doer is in focus. Okay? Our verb here has to do with cycling. Let's look at the first sentence. The cycle was used by Viola to get to the beach. Who used the cycle? Viola used the cycle. So Viola is the doer. Is the doer in focus in the sentence? Is the doer the subject of the sentence? No, the subject of the sentence is the cycle. So, what is this? This is a passive voice sentence. All those of you who said A, did you understand? Did you understand this? Yes, so it's B. Why is the answer B? Viola cycled. Who cycled? Viola cycled. Doer? Subject? So, B is the active voice sentence. Okay? It's okay to make mistakes. कोई बात नहीं, गलती हो गई तो समझ में आना चाहिए गलती क्यों हुई ताकि next time ना हो. Alright? Perfect. Here's your next question. Ajay is sneaking into the cabin. इसको active voice में कैसे लिखना है? Or which of these sentences has written this in active voice? Okay, Govind is saying B, Soumya is saying B, Avishka is saying B, Richa saying B, Prasancha saying B, Prachi B. Okay, everybody is saying B. Perfect, B is the correct answer. मतलब अब सबको समझ में आ गया. Right? Okay. Perfect. Here's the next one. Which of these sentences is in active voice? Okay. पुराने वाले question में confusion है. अच्छा, एक second. First give me answer for this, then we'll analyze that question also. Okay, everybody giving me A. Very good. So here, what is our verb? Climbed. Okay. Who climbed? Sam climbed. Sam climbed what? Sam climbed the gate. So, who climbed? Who is the doer? Sam is the doer. And Sam is in focus in the sentence, so Sam is the subject. Sam climbed what? The gate. So, what is the receiver in the sentence? The gate. And the gate is the object. Okay? Alright? Here is your action. First, you pick out the verb in the sentence. Then, verb कर कौन रहा है और किस पे हो रहा है? Climbing. Who is climbing? Sam. Sam is climbing what? The gate. Okay? So, a lot of times, generally, when you are trying to get to the doer, who will answer your question? Who climbed? Sam climbed. ठीक है? Doer के लिए हम who पूछेंगे. And a lot of times receiver के लिए what पूछेंगे. Sam climbed what? Sam climbed the gate. So who से हमें doer मिल रहा है, what पूछने से हमें receiver मिल रहा है. Okay? Now this might not happen every time, but most of the time this is the case. And what? The gate is the subject over here. So what is the subject? The receiver is the subject. Again, verb में there is a be form and there is the past participle. Okay? And another thing you will notice is when you want to mention the doer in a passive voice sentence, we will always do it with the help of by. The gate was climbed by Sam. By here is the doer of the action. ठीक है? So, first sentence is in active voice, second sentence is in passive voice. Okay? So again here, for those of you who had a confusion, okay? Now here we have decided to sneak into the cabin. Okay? Now again I told you what वाली चीज हमेशा नहीं काम आएगी, तो इधर नहीं काम आ रही, पर who वाली काम आ रही है. Who is still happening? Who decided to sneak into the cabin? Ajay decided to sneak into the cabin. So, Ajay is the doer. What did he do? He decided to sneak into the cabin. Okay? He sneaked into the cabin भी हो सकता था, पर अभी तक उसने किया नहीं है. उसने सिर्फ decide किया है कि मैं sneak करूँगा. So, he decided to sneak into the cabin. Okay? It was decided by Ajay to sneak into the cabin. Now here it's very important to understand what verb we are looking at. A lot of you might get confused because you're looking at sneak. But like I told you, sneak already किया नहीं है. Ajay sneaked into the cabin होता तो sentence different होता. So अभी Ajay has decided to sneak into the cabin. ठीक है? So decided is the verb we are looking at. And if we analyze the verb, yeah, he just decided, he hasn't done it yet. Action अभी हुआ नहीं है. Deciding का action हो गया. Deciding is also an action. उसमें भी दिमाग लग रहा है, planning चल रही है. Deciding is also an action word. Okay? Sneaking is not just the action word over here. Deciding is also your action word. So you're deciding to do what? To sneak. Okay? So that's something you still haven't done. So it's not your action word over here. Okay? Decided is your action word over here. And so we will analyze the verb. Over here in this sentence, was decided में you have a be form and you have a past participle form. So that makes it a passive voice sentence. Okay? Alright. And इसमें it क्या है? You must be wondering कि it क्यों है? Now, what Ajay decided was to sneak into the cabin. तो अजय ने प्लान बनाया. उसका प्लान क्या था? टू स्नीक इनटू द कैबिन. ठीक है? सो इस पूरे टू स्नीक इनटू द कैबिन को हम यहाँ पे इट से रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं. इट वॉज डिसाइडेड बाय अजय टू स्नीक इनटू द कैबिन. ओके? इट इज जस्ट अ representation of this entire thing that Ajay decided to do. Okay? So here in these kind of sentences, it's easier for you to just look at the verb and analyze it. That will get you the answer quicker than trying to apply logic. So इसमें was decided, be form, past participle. So yes, Kankana, it can be a verb in a different situation. He sneaked into the cabin. इसमें वो verb है. Okay? Now sometimes you say things differently. If I tell you singing is a verb, you will say yes. But if I tell you singing can also be a noun, is that possible? I'm telling you singing is a verb, which you all agree with, I know. But if I tell you singing can also be a noun, is that possible? Soumya is saying no, but Diamond Creations is saying yes. Govinda has very correctly pointed out, it's a gerund. Okay? So sometimes verbs don't act like verbs. If I tell you, I am singing in my room, it's a verb because singing is the activity that I am doing. But if I tell you singing is my favorite hobby, singing is my favorite hobby, in that I'm not using singing as a verb, I'm using singing like a noun. Singing is my favorite hobby. Singing is the name of the hobby. So it's not a verb. So not all verbs will always act like a verb in a sentence. Some words that are commonly used as verbs won't necessarily act like verbs in a sentence. So in this case, the action that Ajay is actually doing is deciding. He is not sneaking. The action he is doing is deciding. Right? Okay. Let's move on. If you have any doubts, we can come back to this. And here, let's take a short break to give you a few reminders. Kafi questions answer कर लिए हमने. So, those of you who have already registered for the older parent club sessions, I'm sure you have lots of great things to say about them. So here, set, execute and achieve goal setting and resolution for kids. This is coming up in the next Byju's Parent Club. It's in 21st December, on 21st December, 6 p.m. So now is the time you register because only limited seats are available. And we're going to discuss why goal setting is important. Very important topic. Alright, which will help you get ahead in life. Alright, so register now. And again, as we are studying active and passive voice, a lot of you might be getting very, very confused and might be thinking, ki, will this even help me communicate in English? All of these things are the foundation of language. You need to know grammar to know the foundation of language. But to be able to communicate effectively, another thing that you really need apart from foundational knowledge is good practice. And unfortunately, we don't get a lot of opportunities to practice this language. We might not have people around us who are willing to indulge us in this kind of practice, or we might be very underconfident. We might think that people will make fun of me if I say something incorrectly, so better to avoid talking in English. A lot of us have this thought process. So Byju's spoken English classes is a safe space for you to actually practice English, and you will get tips that you will perhaps not get from anybody else. These are tried and tested tips to make you more confident, to be able to bring out that English that is somewhere buried deep inside you. So if you wish to become a confident English speaker, this is the perfect course for you. You have a 2 months confident speaker program available to you at a discounted price. You don't want to miss out on this opportunity, so make use of it. All right? Okay, now let's get back to our active and passive voice. And now the harder part, I think it's easy, active or passive, dono mein, it's easy now to differentiate because all active voice sentences look a certain way, passive voice sentences look a certain way. Okay, so are we ready? Ready to answer some questions? ठीक है. Yes, Vaishnavi, I know it's not over yet. सिर्फ active voice थोड़ी करोगे, passive voice भी तो करोगे. All right. Yes. Okay. No, Vaishnavi, we will have mentees very soon, don't worry. And here we are. Ria accidentally leaving behind the cycle at the beach. फिर से साइकिल की बात हो रही है. इसमें से passive voice sentence कौन सा है? I think it's easy. No, Pepper, we just took a break in the middle of the class. Okay, I'm getting answers. Vaishnavi, Soumya, Khushi, Richa are saying A. Beach mein, somebody said B. I missed out on the name. Do you want to rethink? Anybody wants to rethink their answer? Same analysis karo jo abhi tak hum karte aa rahe. And you will be able to get the correct answer. Okay, A. रोते हुए क्यों बताया Diamond Creations? खुशी खुशी भी आंसर दे सकते हो, रोते हुए क्यों दे रहे हो? Birthday boy also says A. Okay. All right, very good job. The correct answer is A. Just because I did see someone who, okay, there are still people giving B as the answer. B is not the answer. Okay. Ria's cycle, the cycle was accidentally left. Okay, now here, the logical thing, okay, now see, it's not just कि passive or active voice में क्या है, but Ria's cycle left her behind at the beach. First thing you do is you were given a prompt. Ria accidentally leaving behind the cycle at the beach. Prompt के हिसाब से आंसर देना है. सिर्फ ये enough नहीं है कि active voice कौन सा है, passive voice कौन सा है. First of all, read the prompt. So here what is happening? Ria's cycle left her behind at the beach. First of all, हम personification क्यों कर रहे हैं? We're doing personification here because how can a cycle leave someone behind? It is possible for a person to leave someone behind. Okay. Secondly, this option doesn't go with the prompt because the prompt says Ria accidentally leaving behind the cycle. Okay. So this sentence doesn't make sense, first of all. Secondly, is it a passive voice sentence? Your point is to identify the passive voice sentence. Is this a passive voice sentence? Even if we say, चलो ठीक है, हम लोग ने कुछ personification कर ली, Ria's cycle है, but it's not. It's not a passive voice sentence. Why? Look at the verb. Ria's cycle left her behind at the beach. Left में कोई, do you see any be form of the verb? Do you see any be verb form here? Left is the verb in this sentence, right? You will agree with that? Yes, no? Is there a be verb form? I don't see a be verb form. Passive voice sentence में होना चाहिए ना be verb form, right? So, first of all, the verb itself is not in its passive form. ठीक है? And what is the second thing? Ria's cycle is the doer of this action. Who left her behind? Who left Ria behind? Ria's cycle left her behind. Okay? And the doer of the action is in the subject position. Correct? So जब doer subject होता है तो sentence क्या होता है? Active voice होता है कि passive voice होता है? When the doer is the subject, is the sentence active or passive voice? Quickly give me the answer. When the doer is the subject, is the sentence active or passive? Very good. Kankana. Perfect. So I hope you all understand. Yes, Kushi. Yes, Soumya, Avishka. It's active, Richa, it's active voice. When the doer is the subject. When the receiver is the subject, it is passive voice. Okay? Or be, if you're getting confused, I already gave you one equation, you can memorize another equation. If doer is equal to subject, then the sentence is active voice. If the receiver is equal to subject, then the sentence is passive voice. Okay? The correct form of the sentence should technically be Ria left her cycle behind at the beach. Ria left her cycle behind at the beach. Okay? Because it's not possible for the cycle to leave Ria behind, logically speaking. And here the passive voice sentence expresses the correct meaning. The cycle was accidentally left behind at the beach by Ria. What was left behind at the beach by Ria? The cycle. Okay, here our question, what is being answered by the cycle? Cycle is the receiver and is also the subject of this sentence. If we look at the verb, it has a be verb form was, okay? And accidentally is just something we're adding, but left is your verb here, which is the past participle. Okay? All right. ठीक है. Next question. Here's your prompt. Dev getting fined by the lifeguard. मतलब देव ने कुछ गलत किया किसी पूल में या बीच पे एंड उसको लाइफगार्ड ने उससे पैसे लिए गलत चीज करने के. फाइनली. ओके. All right. A is in passive voice apparently according to all of you. Very good. Everyone gave the correct answer. A is in passive voice. A fine was imposed on Deb by the lifeguard. What was imposed? Fine was imposed. Fine, receiver, subject, passive voice. Okay? Was imposed, was, be verb, imposed, past participle. Very easy. Okay? Here's the next question. Priya fracturing her left leg. This is your prompt. How do you express this in passive voice? Okay. Very good. B, 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 B. Perfect. Correct answer is B. Okay. Who fractured her leg? Priya. So Priya becomes our doer. What did Priya fracture? Her leg. That becomes the receiver. So here Priya the doer is the subject. So this is an active voice sentence. Here Priya's left leg. Her left leg is the receiver and that is the subject of the sentence. So this is passive voice. Okay. Nikhil, if you're saying I know Gandhi, okay, then know is the verb here. Who knows Gandhi? I know Gandhi. Okay. Whom do you know? You know Gandhi. So I, subject, doer. Know, verb. Receiver, object, Gandhi. So active voice sentence. Alright? Active voice sentence. Okay, great. Hi, welcome Ronak. Glad to have you here. Okay. And some sentence will sound very wrong in active passive voice. You will be like, इसको ये गलत sound कर रहा है. I am known by... No, Gandhi is known by me. Why would you say it like this? I know Gandhi. Okay? हाँ, Gandhi ji is known by me. It sounds... मतलब naturally हम ऐसे नहीं बोलेंगे. तो हर situation को passive voice में express कर सकते हो. Grammatically correct होगा. But does it make sense to do it? No. Sometimes it makes sense. I explained to you that entire the Kohinoor was stolen from the museum. Here it makes sense to say it in passive voice. But this Gandhiji is known by me doesn't make sense to say it in passive voice. Okay? So whatever is more natural, you will use that kind of, that voice. Okay? Alright. Now we have completed these questions. So here's just a quick 2 minute में खत्म करेंगे. Some more questions and we'll see who gets them right. Okay? Govind, if you are confused about gerunds and infinitives, then yes, definitely we can have a session on that. I'll plan that for you, okay? Okay, now, here's your question. Kate visited the doctor last night. Who is the receiver of the action? Kate visited the doctor. Okay, very good. Most of you telling me that B is the answer. And indeed, B is the answer. Very simple. Okay, who visited the doctor? Kate. Doer? Okay, Kate visited whom? The doctor. Receiver. Perfect. 2 books were written by Jacob. What is 2 books in this sentence? 2 books were written by Jacob. Is 2 books the receiver or the doer? Okay. A. Some people saying B. Think about it. Think about it. Don't get confused. Nikhil, lot of times prepositions में you can use 2 different prepositions to say the same thing. ठीक है? Prepositions interchangeable हो जाते हैं. So don't worry about that. You can say that as well. Okay. Lot of you giving me A as the answer. Some of you giving B as the answer. Okay. So 2 books were written by Jacob. What did I tell you? Passive voice sentence may a lot of times, if we want to introduce the doer, we will use by. Okay. Secondly, passive voice sentence may we use a be form of the verb and the past participle. And passive voice sentence may, who is the subject? The doer or the receiver? The receiver is the subject. So, do you want to change your answer? Those of you who said B, do you want to change your answer? Yes, alright. So the answer is receiver. Okay. Yes, Jacob wrote 2 books. Very good, Diamond Creations. Great. Now, here's your next question. The children were driven every day to school. Okay. Who is the doer of the action? The children were driven every day to school. Okay, Avisha. I'll look into that as well. Noted. Okay, a lot of you saying A. Richa saying C. Suraj saying C. Kankana saying C. Khushi saying C. Prasansha saying the children. Suraj saying C. तो सारे जिन्होंने C बोला है, would you clap for you? Confusing question and you gave me the correct answer. The correct answer is C. None of the above. Do you remember the first thing I told you? कि passive voice generally कब use होता है? The passive voice is generally used when we don't know the doer or we don't care about the doer. Okay? So this sentence is in passive voice. इतना सबको समझ में आ गया? The children were driven. Were, be verb, driven, past participle of drive. Okay? So, passive sentence है, passive voice sentence है, ये सबको समझ में आया. The children who, okay, who drove the children? ये question में अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं, I told you that we can ask the who question and we can, इसमें who question अगर हम पूछे subject निकालने, doer निकालने के लिए, sorry, then are you getting an answer? Who drove the children? If I ask you who drove the children, are you getting an answer? No, right? We don't know. It's not there only in the sentence. We don't know who drove the children. But we know that the children were driven. So the children are the receiver of the verb, right? And they're also in the subject position, and we don't know who the doer is. And I told you one very important thing. Generally in a passive voice sentence, to introduce the doer of the action, we say by. So if I want to say that I drove the children to school, then I can say the children were driven every day to school by me. इसमें by me आ गया, तो me हमारा doer हो गया. Or let's change it. अगर pronoun से confusion हो रही है, we can change it to a name. By Asmita. ठीक है, so Asmita doer हो गया. But in this case, we don't have a doer specified in the sentence. So the answer is none of the above. Yes, what doubt, Satvik, do you have about this question? Ask me your doubt and I'll clarify it for you. Okay. So, okay, leave your questions. We're nearing the end of the session and I think you have another session to get to as well. So, any doubts you have, leave them in the comments, okay? Alright. So, a quick recap. Active voice, doer is placed in the subject position. So, doer is equal to subject is equal to active voice. Receiver is equal to subject is equal to passive voice. ठीक है? Okay? And the active voice focuses on the doer of the action. Passive voice focuses on the receiver of the action. When the doer of an action is unknown or irrelevant, then we use the passive voice. So sometimes if we don't mention the doer at all in a passive voice sentence, that's also fine because the focus is the receiver. Okay? Kankana, you give me an example of the sentence you're talking about and then I can tell you. Govind, very easy. In the active voice, the subject is the doer. So to convert active voice to passive voice, you will bring the receiver in focus. Receiver will become the subject and your verb will change. So whatever verb you have, you will add a be verb form in front of it and you will change it to its past participle form. Okay, that is the way for you to change a sentence from active voice to passive voice. Alright? Perfect. Okay, great job everyone. And check out all the important playlists that we have for you. Okay, don't miss out on any of the sessions. They're all very nicely organized. And all your suggestions are always taken into account. Please leave them in the comments as well. Any doubts that you couldn't get clarified here today, if I missed out, then you can leave them in the comments and we'll clarify them next time. Okay, and I hope this cleared things out for you. Remember all the equations we came up with and that will really help you in your active and passive voice. Alright? Okay, great. And here again, just another reminder, जैसे शुरू में बताया था, end में भी to subscribe and press the bell icon. Alright, great job everyone. You answered all of the questions correctly. See you next time. Have a great evening.